I see a lot of people representing the Lexit movement, right? There are people that represent chapters all over the country. And one of the things that they all seem to have in common, and this is just my observation, this is just what I've seen, this isn't, anybody else, is they all seem to have the God first in common, right? That's the mindset. It's not Latinos first, it's not this person first or that person first. It's God first. And I see evidence of all of your leaders in this movement being very much born again, like powerful born again. Like, it's awesome. I want to hear your testimony because it's powerful, bro. It's really powerful. And like me, I'm in a mobility scooter. You're in a wheelchair. There's a lot to be heard about how you ended up there and what happened and how God used that. So tell us the story, bro.
Yeah, well, first I'll start by saying I'm a Calvary boy. I've been at over Calvary Chapel for over 20 years, so I'm a Calvary boy. Been around, you know what I mean, with Raw Reese for years. But I was an ex-gang member. I was an ex-gang member from La Puente, California, from Puente 13. I was just like my whole life was just wanting to be in gangs because like all my family was all gang related, all gang members and all that. So I always grew up wanting to be a gang member. That was my goal as far as I could always remember. So I got into a gang very young. I was just trying to do a lot of things to earn my own respect. So I started doing a lot of shootings and I ended up getting incarcerated at 16 and I went up to the youth authority. They got me for 4 shootings. That's just what they were charging me with. So I went up to the youth authority for several years, and it was a straight gladiator school in those days when I went up there, if anybody who doesn't know. And by the time I got out of there, I was all institutionalized. Like, it really messed me up. That's why it's pretty kind of good that they shut a lot of them down because, man, it was making me way worse. Because I even though I was a gang member, I was still a normal young
Yeah,
little
you were
kid.
a,
But
you were a little
but
kid.
time, yeah,
How long, bro, were you in the youth authority out of curiosity?
4 years.
Wow, bro, that's long enough to institutionalize anybody, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, but when I got out, I was all crazy. It made me all crazy. So when I got out, I was just running amok and all that, and I ended up being like one of the main dudes from my gang and all that. I had the power. Like I could tell mom, "Was you go to the shooting or go to whatever." They used to have to listen to whatever I said. But even though I had the power to tell them to do it, I used to love to do shootings. I loved it and all that. So I'll be like, "No, I'm shooting and I'll do that." So I was still after even doing all the time and all that getting out, I was even worse. My story started was I started working with some older Christian man, and he was an ex-gang member. He was from Eastside Baldwin Park, and he was an ex-gang member, and he was a Christian. And I was raised Catholic and all that my whole life. And he started sharing the gospel with me, and I never heard it the way he was telling me, sharing the gospel, telling me about Jesus and everything like that. So I'm talking to him, and then I'm like, you know what? That sounds cool. Maybe one day I'll go to church. Maybe if I ever get married and I settle down, maybe I'll go to church. I was like, but you know what? I don't think I could be forgiven. I did too much things, and I was already supposed to do a shooting that night. My homeboys were waiting for me to get off of work. They had the stolen car, the guns. And then so I didn't tell him that, but I was like, I don't think I could be forgiven. I did too many things. And then he tells me, no, you never heard this story about like King David in the Bible? And I was like, nah. He was like, he was a great man of God. He was sleeping with the soldier's wife. He had a soldier killed. So I'm listening to him. That's why I always tell everybody, don't ever get discouraged when you're sharing with somebody, think they're not hearing it. He knew I was gang related and he knew how I was. So he probably thought this little gang member is not hearing what I'm saying. But I heard everything that he said. So I always share the gospel no matter what. And then anyway, so I was in a room and I was by myself. I was in Long Beach too, matter of fact. We were right there at the Long Beach College. I was in a dorm room and I was painting. I thought about everything he said and it was a trip because I achieved the greatest you could have hoped for in that lifestyle. I was had respect. I was like the main dude in the hood, and I had women, and just everything going for me. I still wasn't happy. Sure enough, as soon as I got off of work, but I didn't know how to pray, so that I just prayed, ask God help me to change. So I went that night. I went and did the shooting. We got in a high speed chase and we crashed. And then I'm in the county, and I got looking at life. I got 7 felonies. I had just did years in the youth authority and all that for shooting. So they caught me again in the act. I was still on parole, everything.